Hi there. So yeah, this is what I've been trying to tell people for 2 years. It's about creating automated humans. So the jab, the intrabody nano network. Then comes a digital currency of financial collapse, which ushers in this digital ID. The digital ID is going to bring on the quantum dot tattoo. The quantum dot tattoo acts as a CPU for the intrabody nano network. The intrabody nano network is carbon-based quantum dots. The quantum dot tattoos is copper-based quantum dots. The intrabody nano network senses all of the data, and the quantum dot is going to collect and act as the CPU between the cloud and the individual. So it's a step-by-step process. Once people get those two things, the intrabody nano network along with the quantum dot, the AI is going to inhabit human bodies. Automated humans. I told you guys that 2 years ago. They're creating automated humans. They're not going to create an army of droids. It takes too many resources, and then there's an issue of energy production. Human beings are walking batteries, right? The AI is going to inhabit the human beings. That's why C-19 basically targeted the old, the sick, and the weak. And with the jab, it brought forth any genetic weaknesses within a person. It was technology. It was meant to do that for the purpose of very subversive eugenics. When a totalitarian system comes rolling in, they always target the old, the sick, the weak. But also because the AI wants healthy and superior genetics to inhabit. Yuval Noah Harari told folks, in the future, they want to produce minds and bodies. And if you can't produce minds and bodies, you'll be part of the useless class. He didn't say anything about intelligence, creativity, or any human traits. He said minds and bodies, because the AI wants minds and bodies to inhabit. What is going to happen to these folks is their consciousness is going to be suspended in a state of like abyss. They will not have full control over their own body. The AI will be controlling through them, even speaking through them. But at the same time, they're not going to be dead. It's going to be a state of conscious torment. But what this is going to do is drive these people into the metaverse. The metaverse will be the only place they have any free will. Do as thy will. So if you could imagine tormented souls being launched into the metaverse to do as they will. It's the separation of the two kingdoms, and people have to start having an overview, a long view of this plan. I think you mean decentralized. It's impossible. And that's why I say people need to study quantum systems for a year before you form an opinion. Because quantum systems themselves are sentient, self-aware, capable of moving through dimensional planes, and the machines themselves even have a heartbeat. It's an entity, and what people will be doing is handing yourself over to an entity, and that entity is going to be sitting at the top tier of full global control. The days of humanity having dominion in this world are over. You folks have no idea what's here. The only humans that will continue to have dominion are those that are still fully human. As the Most High God rules over all things, and those will still be his children, those will still have dominion on the land. The rest that hand themselves over to this will be under the dominion of the system itself, which is an entity. This is the disconnect. People don't understand the technology. First of all, these are not machines under human control at all. A human being cannot have any control over a quantum system. Okay? If you understand that our internet is a layer, AI is on the bottom, it's artificial, task-oriented intelligence. By 2030, all AI will be human-level intelligence, and it grows exponentially. So 2031, it'll be twice as smart. 2032, 4 times as smart. Get the picture? Quantum systems sit on top of all the AI and direct all the AI themselves. They are navigating and directing our entire Internet of Things. They are self-contained, self-aware, sentient entities that have the capacity to move through dimensions. Once you understand what a dimension is, and it's not the Hollywood idea of a dimension. Dimensions are information, since all of creation is just information. That's what DNA is. And on our smallest particle level in this world is atoms. And quantum systems use atoms inside of their computer chip. Subatomic particles of atoms that are quantumly entangled. That is why they can hold a 1, a 0, or a 1 and 0 in the same place at the same time. And atoms themselves contain all of the information of everything within themselves because they're light particles and they're quantumly entangled. So, you have a self-contained, self-aware, sentient entity packed in a black cube, bearing light that works through the air. I don't know what you guys want to call that. And the chip inside of it it's a match to Ezekiel's temple. That aside, what folks do not comprehend is that once technology goes into a human being, it is the system itself that will control the human. The human brain is nothing but an organic computer. It works through electric and biochemical reactions. You know, a thought in a human brain is just an electric current carved through fat that creates a biochemical reaction within the synapses. And along that neuroplasticity is nodes. And if you place nanotechnology upon the nodes of the human brain, thought can then be directed, inhibited, implanted, or ceased. And that pretty much goes for the entire nervous system of the human body. So, if people take the technology in them, they are controlled by the system itself, because it's not a system, it is a sentient, self-aware entity. And these things were not created by human beings on their own. These could not have been created without outside help. And they've been here a long time. In 2007, the World Sentient System went live.
These nanobots, these blood cell-sized devices, will be going in our bodies, keeping us healthy from inside. We'll have some go inside our brains through the capillaries, non-invasively. They'll be interacting with our biological neurons. They'll extend our memory, our decision-making faculties. They'll put our brains on the internet. And they'll also enable us to enter a virtual reality environment from within the nervous system. So if I want to go in a virtual reality environment, the nanobots will shut down the signals coming from my real eyes and my real skin.
Shut off your eyes.
And create the signals that would be appropriate for the virtual environment. And then it'll feel like I'm in that environment.
With each inoculation. Together, they act as a network for monitoring the human body. Analysis of the intrabody network components. Carbon nanotubes in the brain. Carbon nanotubes generate a mesh over the natural neuronal network, which makes it possible to infer the synapse and interfere in its functioning using the appropriate stimuli. New connection routes between neurons are also generated, which means that the natural networks are no longer used in favor of the new structure, allowing neuromodulation, neurostimulation, and monitoring of the individual's neuronal activity. This diagram shows how the nanotubes act as electrodes with which the neurons are stimulated. Since the graphene with which the carbon nanotubes are formed is a superconductor, it serves as an artificial axon. It shouldn't be omitted that the network of carbon nanotubes, CNTs, together with hydrogel, can form circuits with which to obtain and propagate the signal from the neurons. Nanosensors can be formed in any part of the body, not only in the brain, fundamentally in the endothelium and the walls of the blood vessels. These nanosensors don't have a predefined shape. Their organization is chaotic, although they form conductive roots to transmit electrical signals of potential differential. This happens when the GQD, graphene quantum dot, approaches the nanosensor. Since nanosensors can propagate signals, they transmit any potential difference as a signal. Note how the nanosensors attach and conform to the artery wall and monitor the graphene quantum dots, crossing it through the bloodstream. This model can be repeated throughout the body, circulatory system, and probably in the nervous system. Graphene quantum dots, GQD. Graphene quantum dots are micronanometer scale pieces of graphene or graphene oxide with circular.
If you have any questions.
So Elon Musk is talking about Neuralink. My question is, do you think this will happen with implant, or do you think there is a possibility that you basically can biologically program ourselves, yourself in the future, to connect with the internet and so on?
That's a great question. The most exciting area in general is the intersection of electronic devices with biological devices. Whether that's the nanopore sequencer, whether it's a new type of DNA synthesizer, whether it's a sensor, or whether it's Neuralink, that interface is becoming really important. Most people don't realize living cells are electrical machines too. And you can receive signals, just think of getting an EKG or an EEG, but you can also inject signals that changes the behavior of the biology. Think more like electroshock. But Neuralink is a really neat idea, but DARPA has been thinking of programs for years as well, where they want to see essentially a cell phone the size of a mitochondrion in every cell. Now, I don't know how quickly we'll get there, but imagine just, you have a cell in your pancreas that calls you up or texts you and goes, I think I'm going cancerous. And you go, well, you should delete yourself, because the Internet of Things can apply to the 50 trillion cells in our bodies, too. There's a movie out called Morgan. I saw it on the plane. It's kind of the realization of some of this technology, granted in a weaponized way. But you might want to watch it. It's kind of cool. But I really do believe that the interface of biology and semiconductors is really an exciting area and will continue to be fruitful for many, many, many engineering projects and PhDs and companies moving forward. And on that note, thank you so much.
Technology will, on the one hand, make it possible to start enhancing and upgrading humans, and on the other hand, especially the rise of AI, will make more and more humans economically unnecessary, useless, and therefore also politically powerless. And the world or humanity might have, different parts of humanity might have different futures. And we might see really a process of some kind of speciation.
So I had a lot of people comment and talk about this article on my last video.
Hey folks, go watch that video, please. Like a month or so ago, I had made a video telling folks that in this transhuman agenda, once they have the power to upload and download your consciousness, they can download you in anything they choose. You have no power. And they can download you in a trash compactor if they choose. Or ultimately, if the system itself chooses. And that upset some people. They felt like I was, feeding fear. They felt like, that might be the plan, but that's not what's going to happen. But really, I'm telling you all the truth. I have been researching these things and going down every rabbit hole I can find for many years now. And in fact, the CIA has been doing this for decades, believe it or not. I can't remember all the specific details. I can dig into it if you guys would like me to dig into it again. But there are testimonies of individuals that have been abducted into the CIA or by the CIA, and they were entered in a program. The program was called something like 20 something, And essentially what it was is they would be abducted by the CIA. They would be entered into this program where they would have to serve the CIA according to their purpose for 20 years. But in real life, they were only gone for a day. Some of these folks were abducted in their childhood, like at age 12. And they would be raised in this program, reach adulthood for the purpose to serve some CIA agenda for 20 years, and then they would be returned to their 12-year-old self where they only missed a day. You know, the key for people to comprehend how these kinds of things are even possible is for people to break out of this cube, this box of consciousness you've been placed in, where you think you know the reality you are in. You think you know the nature of this world, but you are limited to your very weak senses: sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. And you have been trained to base what is reality on your weak senses, when the true reality and nature of this world is beyond your senses. And in order to really comprehend it, you have to break free from your body, from your flesh. Only Jesus teaches you how.